I overheard a conversation at this meeting I went to last night that apparently our Prime Minister, Stockwell Day, is using his genius brain to say there's unreported crime in Canada and we need to build more jails for all of these unreported crimes. So let's kind of backtrack. Is statistically crime going up? Because apparently there's no proof that crime is going up. It's just in his feeling that crime is going up. But let's just sort of see if this is true. First of all, he's the prime minister. Does the prime minister ever start any initiatives to even track unreported crimes so that you can have a statistics so you can prove your point? No. So why wouldn't we spend any money on possibly recognizing crime is going up? Possibly because it would direct government to see that government isn't following through on all of the laws that they create. We pay a Senate to make up all of these laws, and yet there's no police force that tends to enforce law. Now, why could that be? Well, police go out and do a good job and try as hard as they can, but then we go into their justice system. Every time a police tries to do something, it gets thrown out of court. It's never supported by our justice system because the structure of our justice system doesn't work. So if you kind of notice the way our systems are working, it works for the criminals. The criminals who have stolen all your money, now they have all of the money where the victim has no money. Now, how can you access a justice system? With money. Oh yeah, and then we created this legal aid system. Statistically, it's underfunded. Personally, I've noticed that they don't even get paid enough to read a friggin' file. So they misrepresent you even if you go into court. So let's take a look at the crimes that I've reported. I believe it's a crime not to pay your income tax. I believe you're supposed to report that to Revenue Canada. How many times do I have to report to Revenue Canada somebody that's not reporting their income and not paying their income tax? And what do they tell me? Yes, I know they've got all these hidden rules, privacy of information. We can't tell whether we've really done an investigation or not. But you kind of know when somebody had to pay their taxes, especially if that someone was your husband. If they kind of are bitching and complaining that now they got caught for not paying their income tax, you kind of know that they got caught because they're kind of bitching and complaining. But that's not happening. This guy just keeps getting richer and richer because he doesn't have to pay his income tax. And yeah, it kind of slipped out from some worker within Revenue Canada that says, we have a cost-effective rule. If it's not cost-effective to go after the money, we don't go after it. So there's one law that doesn't have to get enforced because government has cost-effective rules to not enforce laws. Now, I happen to think it's against the law to go into a court without serving another party. I also happen to think it's against the law to lie under oath and present fraudulent documents where you profit. Now, those seem to be big laws. They have jail sentences attached to those laws. Where do you report them? Well, apparently you can't make a phone call and report a crime. So I had gone into the Calgary police station and I asked the police, if I serve my ex-husband with notice to go to court when I actually didn't serve him at all, and then I go into court and I lie and tell the judges that the kids live with me when they actually live with him, and then I lie about my income, would I be breaking any laws? Calgary police ended up saying, oh yeah, that's against the law. That's perjury, obstruction of justice, and fraud. Those are serious crimes. You can't do that. So I said, great, I'd like to report a crime. They said, oh, you can't walk into a Calgary police station and just report a crime. You have to make a phone call. Well, why the hell am I going into a police station and even presenting this as if I was going to commit the crime if I hadn't made a million phone calls? Clearly, the phone calls don't work. When I went outside and had myself a little cry, 2 police officers came up to me and said, look at you. Pull yourself together. Nobody's going to believe a word you say. So, when you go to the police for help, They do shit. Then I went to a prosecutor. Prosecutor says that's a victimless crime. It's not worth pursuing. Okay, if you have a crime, is there not always a victim attached to it? So how in the world does that logic make any sense that a crime is victimless? While we perceive that we have victimless crimes, kind of notice how high your welfare system is going up. Kind of look at how high the homeless rate is going up. Kind of look at why poverty rates are going up. Could it possibly be that we don't enforce crime even when it's reported? Now, come on, let's make a little sense. Then I reported this to judges. Why do judges say we're not going to look at this? Why do judges just sort of act like I didn't even ask the question? Why is it when I go and report a judge who's not following the law, and I report it to the justice in Ottawa and make complaints about that, they come down and say he did nothing wrong? How is it possible that he did nothing wrong when it was clearly against the law to make any orders that he made? And let's just look at what this judge did. I was going after back child support because this deadbeat was going to court without serving me. This deadbeat was lying about his income. This deadbeat was not paying his income tax to get false income reports. And he was actually making me pay child support. He had court orders where I owed him money because he was lying about where the kids live. Kind of had to stop that because while I'm dealing with all of this abuse and not able to enjoy the education and the employment that it could have paid for me, I was forced to work in a factory because that's the only place you can freaking cry and get away with it and still work. After finally taking 4 years for our justice system to even find a path to get in there, this judge keeps putting it off for 3 months. And then he put it off for 3 months again, and then he put it off again for 3 months again, and then his order was, we're not even going to look at any of that back child support because it took you too long to get here and complain about it. So it's the justice system that doesn't want to work, and then it uses its own excuse to not work, so that's why we're not going to enforce any laws. And when I made my complaints, while this judge was putting it off all the time, I asked for an interim order of child support since the kids lived with me. And I was basically on the verge of homelessness by trying to get into court. Guess what? They don't give you time off work while you go and search out a legal way to even get into court. If you have to be in court 24/7, kind of hard to be working at the same time. So in order to report crimes, you have to take time off work to actually follow through on the laws and systems that you have created. And what did this judge do? He failed. He said he was not going to give me an interim order of child support. Now, I do believe that we have a justice system that says the parent that has the kids actually collects the child support. Now, after 9 years of not receiving any child support, after presenting all of the evidence that says, hey, this guy isn't paying his income or his child support, I've also presented this judge with all of the evidence that says he ain't paying his income tax, he ain't living in poverty, he's got a $300,000 house, he's got like 2 cars, while he's claiming to a judge with no evidence that he lives in poverty, has no house, and has no cars. So while all of this evidence, it was, my evidence was to get a provisional order granted. All the judge had to do was weigh my evidence against the deadbeat's evidence. The deadbeat had no evidence. All he went under oath and said, I swear the kids live with me. I swear I'm not working. I presented a pay stub. I presented all of the records that prove the kids live with me. What is the purpose of putting the court off? And what is the purpose of not granting me an interim child support order while you wait so long and then end up saying, I'm not even going to look at this? Do you think that that abuse ends up causing any stress on the parent and the children while they're living through that kind of hell? And do you think eventually you lose your mind? Do you think eventually the stress causes physical harm to your body? And do you think that maybe that's the reason why a lot of people, a lot of mothers are on a welfare system? Kind of check it out. There's over $30 billion in unpaid child support. Why are our fathers not having to be responsible and accountable for the children that they raise? Why is it always on the mothers? Why is it we have all these laws that nobody wants to enforce? So if you want to do something about crime and you want to do something about people not reporting these crimes, then show me. Show me where you're going to actually do something, because I got a crime I'd like to report. Peace out.